This is Dr. Lemus.
How do you know that it's him?
Mr. Leach?
You told me that he's back. How do you know that it's him?
Mr. Leach, you refused my help. Smith's Grove has very strict policies on...
How do you know that it's him?
I've been studying this man for longer than I care to remember. After 40 years, he has become a relic of a forgotten evil. At first, it was merely curiosity, but there's more to him than they are willing to accept. I had believed I was studying an animal in a cage, but the truth is the cage was around me. I convinced myself, like the rest of the world, that he was gone. Last month, a series of killings took place 100 miles from here. The brutality, the randomness, it can only be him.
Can you really help me?
It's you that can help me, Mr. Leach. Help me to stop this evil. 40 years. It's time to end it. It's time. Halloween stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy, Greer, Andi, Matichak, and is directed by David Gordon Green. Well, guys, it's finally here. I cannot believe this. I am actually reviewing a brand new Halloween film. Let me adjust my my viewfinder here so I can see myself, because I don't want to get blurry in this review. This review is important to me. And speaking of that, this will be a spoiler-free review. I will do a full-on spoiler review to be released on this Sunday, hopefully. There is so much in this movie that is spoilerific, and I do not want to reveal any of that stuff to you guys. All the way, up to the opening. I really just want you guys to go into this movie knowing very little outside of what you've seen in the trailers. But anyway, before we get into the review, quick shout out, because I promised him, Gabriel Lewis, you are getting a shout out because you asked me so long ago in the Halloween review, can I have a shout out? Yes, you can. He's a good friend. He's hooked me up with a lot of great posters, great movies, all kinds of stuff. He's just a genuinely awesome guy. Also, Brandon Tabato. I actually met him at the theater tonight when I saw this movie. He was with a couple of friends of his. One of them was Shanna Ammons, and I accidentally tagged I tagged a Shannon McMillan, who is also a member of Killer Flicks, because, I couldn't really see, it was dark in the theater, and I wanted to quickly tag them, and my dumb self tagged the wrong Shanna, or Shannon. And also, Derek Mayo. And this one's a tough one for me because Derek passed away last March, and this is the one movie that he wanted to see. And yeah, I don't want to get choked up or anything, but Derek, this one is for you, brother. But anyway, guys, first off, plot synopsis, okay? From the beginning of this movie, it feels like a direct sequel to the first movie. Right from the start, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride wanted this to be a sequel to the first movie and to really kind of forget all the other sequels. And so at the beginning of this movie, you have these like investigative reporters. Really, they have a podcast, but they're kind of obsessed with the case of Myers. And so they at first they go to Smith's Grove. They want to interview Myers. They want him to speak, but we all know that Myers doesn't speak. As a matter of fact, it's even mentioned in this movie that he hasn't spoken in 40 years. And that really, sets up who Myers is as a character. After all this time, he's still that completely interesting and confusing human being. Really, there's nobody like Myers. And that carries forward into this movie, and it's so interesting. But then they eventually end up going to Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. And this Jamie Lee Curtis, very different than the Jamie in H2O. There are some similarities there. She is sort of an alcoholic, but the way she holds herself is much different, like I said, than H2O. She is pretty much a warrior. She's a badass. And while we're talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, I was very skeptical of her coming back, just because I guess she's had her turn. She was in Halloween 2, she was in H2O, and I didn't really want, you know, another return of Laurie Strode. What are they going to do with that story? After watching this movie, I got it. I really loved her as a character in this, and I did not expect that. You know, I thought not really that I would get annoyed by her, but I thought, you know what? I just want to see Myers do his thing. I don't really need him going after her. That was my whole thought process. But then the way Danny McBride and David Gordon Green fleshed out her character, and you know, she's so vulnerable, yet she has such a tough exterior, but inside she's just completely torn up. So much so that she has such a strained relationship with her daughter and her granddaughter, and that's a big portion of this movie. But you know, that's the first big thing is, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis, she earned this role. She took it very seriously, and I loved how she was portrayed in this, actually. Did not expect that. And there's quite a few times in the movie where, without giving anything away, it's like the roles are reversed a little bit, and that's all I'm going to say. But you know, you're going to have some callbacks to the original movie. I'll just say it's just really interesting, because I'm being very, very careful with this review, guys. I do not want to give anything away, like I said. But what I will say is there are so many like callbacks to the franchise, not just the first movie, but they don't get in the way. That's what's important here. This isn't just a greatest hits movie of the past movies. Not at all. This is its own contained story. And you know, you're not weighted down by that as you're watching it. You're completely invested in what's going on. As a matter of fact, I was so invested, this might be the first time that I didn't really eat my snacks. As silly as that sounds. I've never not eaten my snacks at the theater. I love food. But I was gripping the edge of my seat throughout this whole movie. So invested in what was going on that I didn't even have time to think about eating. Now, let's talk about Michael Myers. Wow. James Jude Courtney, what he brought to this character is the greatest thing, I guess, since George P. Wilbur, but I'll even go ahead and say it. I think he might be the best Myers since Nick Castle. You know, if I did a new Myers ranking of the actors, I don't think I've actually done that ranking yet, but he would be super high up there. I mean, he really just takes control of this role. He has sort of a glide, much like Dick Warlock did. I was skeptical about the mask, you know, from seeing the trailers, but after watching the whole movie, I think the mask is perfect. And I think I enjoy the mask much more now having seen the movie. It's pretty damn scary, actually. There are so many scenes in this movie where Myers will give you nightmares. I will say that. I could see some people seeing this in the theater for the first time and not sleeping that well tonight. The way David Gordon Green handled the scares in this movie, you know, there was a lot of variety to it. You know, as a matter of fact, if I'm trying to remember some like jump scares, I'm sure there are, but they're not like jumping out at me. You know what I mean? No pun intended. You know, there's scenes with silence, and then you know, you get scared by what's going on in the silence, and then there's scenes where Myers just kind of pops into frame, but it never comes off as cheesy. And I'll go ahead and say, and this is a scene that's in the trailer, that scene where he's walking into, let's call it the Elrod house. It's, you know, because it's an homage to the Elrod house. But that scene was awesome because it was pretty much all like one take. We see Myers going in with, you know, getting his weapons, pretty much. You know, and he changes hands with a couple of different weapons throughout this scene, just this one scene. And he's going house to house, doing his thing. And I won't go into if Myers is fully after Laurie Strode, or if Myers is actually just, you know, he's set off and he just wants to be out. But, you know, there's just a lot of like ambiguity to the way he's handled as a character. You know, there's a lot of room for like interpretation as far as who Myers is as a character. I found Myers more interesting in this movie than probably since the first movie. And if I didn't stress this point, let me stress it right now. The kills in this movie do not hold back. They are pretty damn brutal. And I think what's really cool is like there is a kill in the beginning, without giving anything away, where Myers does something that it takes you off guard. You know, you do not expect this kill to happen. And that plays into a possible kill later. And I love how David Gordon Green set that whole thing up. You know, he set up the characteristics of Myers early on so that you would question what would Myers do in this type of situation? But, you know, the bathroom scene that we see in the trailer, prepare yourself. That's all I will say. Wow. Also, the score by Carpenter. Carpenter is back as far as scores go. I loved every second of this score. I only listened to just a little bit of it before the movie, just to get a taste of what it's all about, but I didn't know what to expect. And let me just say, the score is so good. It's original. There's a few cues in this that have never been used before in the series. I love what Carpenter did with this. You know, let's just say it's just a modern approach to what we've seen in the past. You know, like I said, you've never seen anything like this, or you've never heard anything like this, I guess I would say. But like, I want to buy the score now. That's how great it was. Now, I'm not going to talk about the ending too much. I'm going to save that for the spoiler review, but all I can say is I really fucking loved it. Loved the hell out of it. As far as any cons, not in this review. I know some people might have some issues with what happened in the third act, maybe the way it transpired. I thought it was brilliant. I loved the pacing of it. I loved everything about what happened in the third act. And I have to give this movie a Trapper on an Island. And I know that's probably not that shocking because I'm a Halloween fanatic. But let me just say, I went into this ready to not necessarily tear it apart, but, you know, critique it, I guess. You know, I was looking for things that I might not like in the movie, but I was completely invested throughout the whole thing. And it ended up being one of my favorite Halloween movies. So when I do my new ranking, it's going to go pretty damn high up there. I'm going to tell you that right now. And maybe I need to watch it again, but I'm just on cloud nine right now. It's hard for me to even get my words out. I walked out of the theater just like, I was telling my family, I haven't felt like this after walking out of a Halloween movie since Halloween 4. And that was when I was 15 years old. That's what this movie did to me. And I can't wait to watch it again. I think I want to go watch it again on Saturday before I do my spoiler review. There is so much to talk about in the spoiler review, so be sure you guys check that out. Got a lot to discuss. So anyway, guys, before I go, also, I got my Killer Flicks We Are Michael Myers t-shirt on. If you wore one at the screening, or if you're going to wear one tomorrow night or over the weekend, snap a photo, post it in the thread that I created in Killer Flicks, and I will put a collage together and put it in the spoiler review. So anyway, guys, post below your thoughts on Halloween 2018. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. I know that there are some people that will not like this movie, and I kind of like that about it. Yeah, David Gordon Green, phenomenal job on this film. I will say that. This is such a great movie, and I've said that so many times. Also, guys, gotta give just a big shout out to Cody Leach for helping me in the intro. He just finished up his entire run. He did all the Halloween movies in the last couple weeks, and it's been insane what the guy's done. And I just wanted to definitely give him a huge shout out and give him credit for, you know, he's Cody Leach. Everybody loves what the guy does, and yeah, he's a dear friend of mine, and I really appreciate him helping my channel out, and just love working with the guy. Anyway, guys, follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and now Stardust. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.